Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Terra Fleming, and I just have to tell you, I am truly honored and excited to be here with you tonight. And then to be a part of this wellness revolution team. I got to tell you, I didn't realize how excited I was about this movement until this morning. I mean, I've been excited, right? Don't get me wrong. But I went to visit my chiropractor, and he's on my team. And I was just bubbling over, like, you've got to go check out wellnessrevolution.org. It is so cool. And I explained like what happened in Destin. And you guys, if you haven't been to Destin, or if you haven't been to one of the events, get to one. Get to one of the upcoming ones. They are amazing. It's not like any other event that I've been to. Yes, we have training, but the connection, the friendships that we made, the making breakfast together, it was so cool. And the Q&A and just learning from everybody. And so I just really love what is being developed here. And that's for all of us, right? We all get to be a part of this. And then I want to sincerely thank Jay, Kyle, their wives, everyone who had the vision. You guys, this took vision. That is not my forte, right? I'll help carry it out, but vision is not mine. And I just really want to thank them for the vision, not just the website, but the vision of community, of a different way to go about this. And that's what makes me so excited. And so the vision of our leaders is going to build momentum, right? And what is momentum going to do? It's going to build success. And we all get to be a part of that success. And we all get to determine how successful we are depending on how much time and effort we put into this. This is your business. You get to do as little or as much as you want. But remember, how little you do will determine how successful you are, right? It's just like in any business. If you work it really hard, you're going to be more successful. If you don't work it as hard, you won't get there as fast, but you'll get there. And that's the thing I think I want to make sure that people understand. This is slow and steady wins the race. And I'm going to explain a little bit about my history a little bit later, because I'm not a seasoned network marketer. But I'm going to explain how I have become as successful as I have been and where I'm going. And, I haven't arrived yet. So I'm still doing all the systems as well. So just a little bit about me. I am a chiropractor of going on 36 years. I grew up with a father who was a chiropractor, uncle, two cousins. So holistic healing has always just been a part of me. I hadn't known anything else. My dad never took me to a medical doctor in my entire 18 years of living there. We got sick. We literally got adjusted, got to turn on the innate, remove the nerve interference so your immune system can work better. Took a ton of vitamins and go get your butt in bed and sweat it out. That's all I ever knew. And so I have to tell you, though, I'm extremely grateful for that foundation, especially in this world and, just having that holistic bent. So then when I got introduced to this, it fit so seamlessly into what I believe, right? Because what are we doing? We are elevating things that God already gave us. We're giving it the tools to be able to heal itself naturally without drugs, chemicals, and stimulants. And I just, so I tell people that I am so passionate about chiropractic, right? I grew up with it, but I am more passionate about this technology, this device, as Jay would say, than I am about chiropractic, because there's no amount of adjustments that I could do that would have changed my father's life. He has dementia, and it's helped him tremendously. But there's no amount of adjustments that could have done that. So yeah, I'm just so passionate about it. And when you're passionate about something, you believe in something, you don't have to sell it. It just comes out naturally. People see your passion, they see your excitement, and they want what you have. So I'm married. I have three boys, 22, 20, and 17. And I live in Blaine, Minnesota. So I'm up here in the cold tundra. Yes, we just went through a very, very cold spell, like 55 below wind chill. Nobody, I mean, unless you live it, you really cannot even understand what it's like. You just don't leave the house unless you have to. I'm also a certified animal chiropractor. I got that about a year and a half ago. And don't ask me why I went back to school after being out for 35 years. That was absolutely insane. And then I also serve on the city council here in Blaine. We are the 8th largest city in the state. So yes, I'm a very busy lady. And so when people tell me that they're too busy to do this, I kind of look at them and I go, well, it's really, what are your priorities, right? And you have to look at it from this way, right? They don't know what they don't know. So it's our job to educate them. And once they understand the importance of this does become their priority. So that kind of leads into busyness, priorities, but it's we allocate our time, right? So when I want to work out, I put that in my schedule. Nothing comes in the way of that. That is my hour and a half. I don't take patients. My kids are at home. I'm not cooking meals, whatever. I am allocating that time in my schedule. And that's what you need to do in this business, right? Because it's your business. You're not going to a 9 to 5 where you have to sit in your cubicle and work. This is you having to carve out the time in your life. So what I always tell people is put it in your calendar, block it out, and don't let anything interfere with it, because this is your decision for your life and your success moving forward. And I also had an interesting conversation with a patient of mine this morning. So one of my no my what do I want to say my I just lost my train of thought. What I do is correction. I correct spines, and that's my thing. And so I had a patient who she's over the course of the year, she's been coming in really regularly, and now she's down to once a week, and she's been skipping. And so I had to have a talk with her this morning. And she said, "Well, I'm just really busy." And I said, "Well, you weren't really busy when you were in a lot of pain and you were coming in 3 times a week. You were able to make that commitment." And I said, so it's really about what's important to you. But with patients with pain, it's the last thing to show up and the first thing to go away. And so then they don't have that purpose. They don't have that urgency. And so once pain is lessened, then that commitment becomes optional. But guys, that's human nature. That's with all of us, right? And so what I love is there's a quote that I wrote down here. It says, your schedule doesn't define your success. Your priorities do. So what is your priority? I'm going to challenge you. What is your priority? And I can already tell, there's a lot of people on this call right now. This is your priority. And that's why you're here. And I'm really proud of every single one of you for getting on this Zoom and probably the next one, because we have an opportunity call coming, and the previous Zooms, because it's going to make a difference in your success in this company. So one of the things that I want to talk about tonight for training is the number one question that I get as a doctor when I meet people in LifeWave is, how do I approach my chiropractor, or how do I approach my doctor? And so what I want to do is I want to set your expectations on this, because these are not going to be your bread and butter. These are not going to be your rock stars. If they are, it's not the normal. All right. And so I kind of want to share with you the insight, the kind of mentally what chiropractors and doctors are thinking. And I can tell you that my biggest go-getters, my rock stars, are everyday people. I talk to anybody and everybody. I actually don't focus on chiropractors and doctors. If I come across one, I will actually look at them more as a customer, because most of them are not entrepreneurial. And so my biggest rock stars, I have a hairdresser. She is killing it. I have an interior designer, killing it. And I have a laser salesman. And a number of other people that are doing very well as well, but they are just everyday people. So I want to set your expectations right, because I don't want you to like put all your eggs in one basket and go, I got to have a chiropractor, I got to have a doctor, and you think that that's going to be your golden egg. It's not going to be. And so I want to explain that a little bit. So doctors are trained to be authoritarian. They're authorities, right? They're the authority. I'm an authority as a spine doctor, cardio thoracic surgeon. That's what his specialty is. He's an authority. And they go to years of schooling. They have intense responsibilities, and that creates confidence, but it also creates ego. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'll tell you what, you go into any chiropractic office, and I can speak a little bit more because that's my, my area of expertise. But you go into any chiropractic office, every single one of them is different. Every single one of them does different techniques. They all think they're better than all the other ones. The way they do it is the right way. So they're not teachable and coachable as well, overall. And so, and the other thing that I find is that they're not really entrepreneurial. Yes, they are business people. They are running a business. They're very successful at that. But there's a difference between being a business person and an entrepreneur. And so at the height of my career, so this is what most doctors want. They want to be able to go in and they want to be able to treat their patients, get them well. That's why they went into being in healthcare. And so at the height of my career, I showed up, I adjusted patients, I marked x-rays, and I did report of findings. My staff and my ex-husband did everything else. I was very, very happy with that, right? I didn't want the stress of all that other stuff, but I have an entrepreneurial bent. And so my goal was to franchise my practice and put other chiropractors in there. And so unfortunately, not unfortunately, fortunately, God had other plans for me, you guys. I got married at 35 and I got pregnant 10 months later, and 9 months later, I gave birth to my first child and I became a stay-at-home homeschooling mom. Now, I will tell you this, you guys, um, literally my kids did not play Monopoly. They played cash flow from Rich Dad Poor Dad. I wanted them to understand what residual income, passive income can do for financial freedom and independence. And so even though I wasn't doing a whole lot, I was just, I was pouring into my kids, but I was also teaching them the value of that, of making money when your doors are closed and your lights are off, right? So let's go into how to approach a chiropractor or a doctor. First, I want to come at it from is if you know them personally. Like, let's say they are a friend or they're, a sibling or something like that, and you want to approach them. So you have more credibility than if you are a patient in the clinic. So that's really, really important that you have that going for you in some ways. Like my brother, even though I'm a doctor, I'm still his little sister, so he wouldn't listen to me until he saw the changes in my dad. So there is some of that. So I would caution you that you want to not give them a whole lot of information because they are a doctor. Remember that ego thing is in there. And so you want to talk to them about the technology and just say, hey, I got introduced to something, and you're really going to end up deferring to them, right? You're going to say, I got introduced to this amazing technology, and I think you would really be interested in it. Well, what is it? Well, it regenerates dormant stem cells naturally. Okay, how does it do that? You can say a little bit more, but what you're really going to want to do with them is probably get them on a Zoom or send them some information from either like Dr. Tony Smith. That's what my friend did. She sent me a Dr. Tony Smith video, chiropractor to chiropractor. There are all kinds of doctors that are doing testimonials and doing the opportunities and so forth. And you could send them that kind of thing because they're going to want to hear it from another doctor as to why did you get interested, right? And so from there, like my friend Barb, I want to like this is kind of a little bit of the follow-up with a doctor. You don't want to be pushy. And my friend Barb, she did it perfectly. I've known her for 30 years, over 30 years. She's one of my best friends, and I've worked with her husband. He's a chiropractor as well. And I respect her and I love her, but I wouldn't listen to her. I totally ignored her. And because most chiropractors, and I don't know about doctors so much, but most chiropractors have probably done at least one network marketing company in their life, and it probably didn't go too well. And because we're in the holistic field and a lot of network marketing companies are holistic, we get hit up on everything all the time. Everybody thinks we're going to want to know about the latest and greatest vitamin company. We already use our own that we've already vetted, skincare, whatever. So they're not going to be super open at first. So that's another expectation that I want you guys to take away from this is you need patience. Patience is a virtue. It took my friend 7 months before I would look at this. 7 months, you guys. And what I loved about what she did is she didn't push me. She didn't quit, and she was consistent. So, and what I mean, like she wasn't pushy. She would wait 2 to 4 weeks. We might see each other and she'd say, hey, Terra, you got to take a look at this. This is amazing technology. It's doing amazing things. I'm like, okay, Barb, yeah, sure, whatever, right? But 7 months in, I don't know if it was just to get her off my back, but I got intrigued. I said, I would like to get on a Zoom with somebody higher up, right? That credibility. I love her, but I needed to see the science. And your doctors are going to need to see the science. It's going to be important to them. They need to know that this is actually real stuff that has been vetted. It's got the double-blind placebos, independent peer reviewed. It's going to be important for you to make sure that they understand that. So I got on a Zoom with Sarah Robinson, and I have never looked back. She's been the greatest mentor. You guys with wellnessrev.org, you guys have a training program that I didn't have. Poor Sarah, she was my training program. So she was I was like texting her and everything. So now you guys have an amazing training program that you can just plug people into. And so now let's talk about if you are a patient and you want to get your chiropractor intrigued. Here's what's really, really important. Okay. At the height of my career, I was seeing 80 to 100 patients a day. You want to be really, really respectful of their time. All right. They do not have time to sit there and listen to you. They really, it will eventually become wah, wah, wah. So you need a little bit of a hook. Jay talks about that. You need to hook them. So for a chiropractor, what I would say initially is say, hey, have you, maybe you're laying on the table. Hey, doc, have you seen this new technology called LifeWave X39? No, I don't know what it is. Okay, would see this little patch that I'm wearing on my back of my hand while they're working on it? Yeah, what is it? Well, it works on increasing energy, deeper sleep, helping with stem cells, whatever. Say it quickly. Maybe you bring a brochure in and you give them the brochure and say, hey, take a look at this next time I'm back. We'll take a look at it. Remember, patience is a virtue here. You're not going to hook them right away. They're too busy to even think about it. It will probably go on their desk and get covered up with all kinds of paperwork. Just know that. That doesn't mean you stop now, right? You don't stop. What you're going to do is next time you go back in, you can say, hey, doc, did you get a chance to take a look at that brochure? Ah, no, I didn't. That's okay. That's okay. You know what? I brought you something else. Bring him a study. Print out a study. Put it on. I did that for a medical doctor. I brought him a bunch of studies to look at. I say, here's some studies because I know those will be important to you. Walk away. Let them digest it. Next time you come in, now is what I would do is I would share a testimonial, something that it did for you. You know what? Oh my gosh, I've been an insomniac since I've been on this patch. I can sleep at night. Tell them a testimonial and just drip on them, right? But you're gonna have to be really respectful of their time. And I don't want you to feel rejected if they say no, or if they don't bite right away. It may take a number of touches, right? We say that what it takes 7 to 10 times to actually get somebody to sign up. It'll probably take longer with a doctor and a chiropractor. So from here, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I told you that I am not a seasoned network marketer. I did one network marketing company back about 12 or 14 years ago. It was a anti-aging skincare named Nerium. So I didn't come into this knowing all kinds of things and knowing all kinds of people. And so a lot of you probably have done network marketing. I know a lot of you have been very successful. Some have moderate success. Some have had minimal success. I was doing okay, but like most network marketing companies, it failed within about a year and a half to 2 years. And usually that's leadership, right? So some of the things that when I saw this, so I've always kept it in the back of my mind because I know that when you get the perfect storm with a network marketing company, the perfect leadership, perfect technology, and the perfect timing, I call it the perfect storm. It's a no-brainer. So that's when I saw it. I saw it was a no-brainer. Like we are, back then I joined 2.5 years ago. Crazy, right? We're just on the tip of it. We're still on the tip of exploding. And so what I brought from my network marketing company was one of the things they did well was they did have systems in place. They had great leadership, and you don't reinvent the wheel. And so when I came into this, we had great systems, we had great leadership. Sarah Robinson, I mean, took me under her wing, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for her. And she's an amazing leader. We have a ton of amazing leaders now that I'm getting to know all of them. But she was amazing. And I knew that I wasn't going to make a million, my first year. I know that this is slow and steady wins the race, you guys. And you're going to have downtimes. You are. I've had downtimes. Get on the phone with your upline and say, have them talk you through it. Sarah's had to do that with me a number of times. You get discouraged. Things aren't happening as fast as you want, right? You didn't sign anybody up for 2-3 weeks. Oh, but you know what? Keep doing the system. Keep doing what we're telling you to do. Do your follow-ups. And then all of a sudden you might sign 4 or 5 people up the next week. And I know that like a lot of people are like, well, it's just not happening. It's just not happening. You guys, it's a numbers game. I literally, when I started in this, I was at a director in the first month. And it wasn't, and I could have been executive director um, before the compensation plan, like months and months and months before that because of my volume. But because of the structure, I couldn't. Well, then once they changed it, I went straight up to executive director. But my point here is you never know when you're going to hit a rock star. And so you can get down about that kind of stuff. But shortly thereafter, I met or got acquainted. It was a crazy little situation where an acquaintance of mine, I sent her a text accidentally. She's my interior designer she's almost a two-star director in 3 months, right? If I had quit, if I had just like slowed down, I never would have had that. So always hang in there. And like I said, if you have some downtimes, it's okay. We all do. And know that you're not going to make 1 million in a year. It's slow and steady is going to get you there. And doing the system and doing the daily activities, the income producing activities is going to get you there as well. So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I talked in Destin a little bit about this, because a lot of people, once you've supposedly gone through your warm market, and I don't believe you've ever gone through your warm market because a lot of people have said no, but that just means not now. A lot of people have quit, stopped wearing the patches. Had a friend who did that. I was chatting with her. I wasn't talking about the business. We're just catching up. And finally, I said, Kathy, I gave her like a testimony, not a testimony. I told her about how we have a study coming out about what it's doing for our mitochondria. I said, Kathy, you got to get back on it. She said, okay, I think I have some more. I said, great. 3 weeks later, I followed up with her. We're chatting. I said, hey, did you ever find your patches? She goes, oh, yeah, I'm wearing them again. You guys, you can reignite your warm market easily. Just go back through and it may take you a year, it may take you a year and a half. I have a lady right now that I met in Greece in the water a year and a half ago. And I've just been dripping on her, right? And she just signed up, year and a half. If I had stopped following up, and that's where, another thing that I was going to talk about, because the fortune is in the follow up, but I wanted to talk about how do you approach people? And the key, you guys, is really about relationship. It can't be that you just want to, talk about the business. I thank my mom because my husband tells me that I have just a natural way of meeting people and talking to people. And I really have to thank my mom because she had pen pals all over the world. She made friends wherever she went. She was not afraid to talk to people. But you know why? She seriously just cared about people, and people know when you care. So I might be at the nail salon and I'm talking to, I end up talking to somebody and I'm asking about their family. I'm asking about their kids. What do they do for a living? Yada, yada, yada. And pretty soon, somehow it will come back to where they'll ask you about, I wear my patch right here, what that is. Or I may even say, hey, have you seen this yet? And so that's how you do it. But then when your follow-ups, you guys, the fortune is in the follow-up. And it has to be organic. It has to be with compassion and empathy. It's not about, hey, are you interested in this? No, you touch on them, maybe once a week, maybe every 2 weeks. People are busy. We aren't their priority, right? We want this to be their priority. We know how badly they need it. But what you're going to do is what I do. I reconnect with intention. Sometimes it's a testimonial. Sometimes it's a before and after picture to explain to them, hey, this is what it does with collagen in your body. Even today, what I did is I do a lighthearted video like the William Shatner commercial. And I sent that on to people and I'm like, hey, I think you just might enjoy this if you like William Shatner. And it keeps the relationship alive without pressure. And sometimes, like I met a lady who her husband has COPD. I called her up to do a follow up, like, hey, how are things going? Oh, I'm so sorry I haven't gotten back to you because my husband's been in the hospital for the last, twice this week. And so, business out of there. I am so sorry. If there's anything I can do, let me know. The next time that I followed up with her, I reached out and I said, hey, how's your husband doing? Right? You guys got to make it personal. The business will come. You'll get to talk to them about it. But get to know people because when they know that you care, it's that's really what's important in this. So with this, I think I've talked enough. What I want to do is I want to open it up to you guys to ask me any questions that you might have. I'll try and answer them the best I can. If they're doctor questions, whatever it is, feel free to unmute and ask me any questions that you might have.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Shannon.
Hi,
Nice
Shan,
to meet you.
as well.
So I actually did reach out to a Cairo. She actually reached out to me and she made an appointment with me and I went into her office and she had the idea that I was going to patch her people, and I wasn't prepared for that because it was in a different city. So I was like, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm just here to tell you about it and etc." Because okay, I really want them. Send me all the information. And I did. And
Okay.
then a week later, I reached out, I was like, "Hey, like Maria, are you?" And she's like, "No, I'm so busy. I'm so sorry. I'll get after it." Again, a week later, I'm like, "So Maria, like, do you need some help? Like, I'm in a different town, so it wasn't like I could drive over." Anyways, long story short, like months and months, and finally, I'm like, I gotta stop bugging her because then she just ghosted me. I'm like, I don't know what happened there. Like, I was just like, "So what do you do with that? Just leave her now? Never,
Um,
never."
no, no, I wouldn't. You know what you could do. I mean, how far away is it?
Oh, she's like a 12-hour drive.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe just a little less often. Maybe send her a study, maybe send her a testimonial. Just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I know you were interested in this for your patients and so forth. I'd love to share with you how we can integrate it into your practice.
Okay.
Because chiropractors and doctors are always looking for an extra stream of income. That's why they do red light therapy, vitamins, everything that they do, they're always looking for other streams of income. So you can come at it that way and just say, too, like, hey, I can teach you how to create another stream of income in your practice. And it's seamless and I'll help you do it.
What if I feel like I can't teach her that?
That's what I'm here for. So so
Okay.
so really what you're going to do. And so let's talk about that. Like, how do we structure it into a chiropractor's office? Right.
Yeah.
So there's a number of ways that you can do that because right, they can sell it retail for
Okay.
150. So they can get it, when they join, they can get them for like 87.50 if they do the premium. And then with the maintenance packs, they go down to I think like $83 or something. So they can
Hmm.
turn around and sell them for almost twice the price if they
Okay.
want to. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to educate them, of course, on, we need at least 90 days, all of that kind of stuff. And so then what you're going to do is, so they've got that option. Then
Hmm.
the other option is, the preferred customer program because a
Hmm.
lot of chiropractors, if they're not interested in the business side, right? If they don't want to make passive income and actually work the business, preferred customer is great for them because then they don't have to do a lot of follow up and brand partners and all that kind of stuff. And so then what you do is your chiropractor is not going to have a lot of time to talk at the table. And so what you can do is make sure that they have brochures. They can hand a brochure. If you're willing, if they're not, like I said, if they're not interested in the business, if you're willing to talk with some of their patients and educate them and then get them signed up, you can also what I've done is go in and train the staff. And so you can do that over Zoom, where you can train the staff to some key points. Here's how you sign them up, and you just spend some time doing some training that way.
Right. But do you feel like when you go into the office, you have more credibility because you're already a doctor? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is some other credibility, but they still don't listen. I mean,
Okay.
the three chiropractors that I signed up, um, they took forever. I mean, forever. And I have
Okay.
credibility, right? They've known me for years.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. So I'm actually going to go up to that small town in 3 weeks. Should
Okay.
I pop in on her or no?
Yep. What I would do is I would pop in. Has she tried the patches yet?
I left her some, whether she tried them or not, I don't know.
How many? How many did you leave her?
I think I only had on me like 12. I didn't have like,
So
yeah. So,
good. Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, that was a good amount. So, yeah, I would hopping in on her if she's got a busy schedule could be tough.
Hmm.
You could call you could, no, actually what I would do is I would call her and I would say, hey, I'm going to be in the area in 3 weeks. I would love to just catch up. Tell me when's a good time. Maybe, right at lunchtime where I won't take up much of your time, right? But I wanted to check in. I wanted to see how the patches were going for you when you used them. Wanted to make sure you used them correctly, and then to just, share any more information that you might be interested in, bringing it into your clinic.
So call her office or I have her home number too.
I would call her home number.
Okay.
100%. Yep. I would
Okay.
call her.
All
Yeah.
right. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck.
Okay.
Okay, I got somebody else. Somebody raised their hand. Go ahead, Arlene.
Hello, Terra and everyone. I have two questions.
Okay.
Okay, so what tool is your preferred info page for doctors?
What tool is
You
my
know,
preferred?
like some people send this is it info.com. Some people send the Start X39 Now page. Some people used Dr. Jen's Patch U for
Yeah.
like a general.
Yeah. So I've been using this as an info. So for instance, there's a guy who's a general surgeon that I met up with the other night. And I'm like, Peter, you got to take a look at this, right? He had two shoulder surgeries. And I'm like, Peter, you got to take a look at this. So what I did, if it's in person, what I do is I say, I'm going to send you this as an info. And I said, here up here is where you're going to see the patents and the studies.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And so then you want to point out to them, so this is where the patents and the studies are, because I know that's going to be of importance to you, but make sure you go, and there's a lot of doctor interviews here, a doctor's panel, there's a lot of testimonials that you want to listen to as well, but everything you have is here. So that's what I do. I point them to the patents and the studies first.
Okay, that's awesome. I appreciate that because it's overwhelming the info pages that we have. We have so many tools.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then I have a second question for you, which is how do you or okay, so I'm going to assume you have a lot of teams. So like how do you protect yourself from people that team members that talk a lot of talk, don't do a lot but suck the living life out of you and are literally like energy vampires when you're trying to be a good person. No names will be mentioned, of course, never. But I'm just saying, I know you're laughing, but it's like it's a true thing. Like, how do you set your boundaries? Do you have a schedule? Do you do like slots of time that you kind of this is you get 15 minutes, kind of like in your those pre-scheduled Calendly type kind of
Yeah,
setups?
yeah,
You have
no,
something like that?
for me at this point, I actually don't have a lot of that, thankfully. So, but I have a little bit. So what I do is I really, if they're not really working the business, and I always answer them when they text me, but I don't reach out to them a lot, right? Because if people are really interested in doing the business, they're going to do the income producing activities. And if they're not, if they're reinventing the wheel, if they're learning way too much before they're going out there, I'm not going to pour into them. But if they are, if they're really doing it and they're doing what I tell them to do, then I open it up to them and I, make myself more available. But for the most part, I answer them when they text me. I'm available if they need me for a Zoom. But other than that, I don't actively pursue them. I'm going to actively pursue the people that are actually, rising in ranks and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Kind of.
It's more like a gauge, I guess. Like the gauges, I guess you're right. Like are they actually performing right versus
Yeah.
talking? Okay, thank you so much, Tara.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Let's see what's in the chat. Okay. There we go. Patches many times take longer to feel effects. Sometimes
Can I
people.
ask another question, Tara?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have a do you actually stick with X39 being a Cairo, or do you actually throw Ice Wave out there? Aeon, there's a couple of key ones that
Nope. As a
X39.
chiropractor, so with my practice, X39 is okay. So when I do a report of findings, and this is something, I teach chiropractors as well, but with my report of findings, it's X39 is I always lead with X39. That's what we've been taught. I don't want to confuse people, and I don't want them thinking they need to have $300 to $400 worth of patches. Now, if I have somebody coming in with a hot low back, and they're already on X39, yeah, I'm gonna use Ice Wave on them. And it's a great introduction too, right? If they're not using X39 and it takes their pain away, they're like, whoa, what are these? So I will use them adjunctively in my practice, but I don't promote that. I don't promote all the other ones. Make sense?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So
We also don't want to overload their body as well right away. I actually had a person who said, that somebody put her on X39, and Silent Nights like all at once. And she was starting to feel sick. I said, back off everything else, X39 only. And
Okay.
all of her, because she was being overloaded, right? Her body's not used to it. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I always just do X39.
Okay. And then that was another lead into, you made me think of another question, which is when people talk about the detox for people that are freshies, real freshies that never used a patch before. I actually put a patch on a lady, and she's self-proclaimed hypersensitive person. And she was, from the one patch, she was totally nauseous. So just when people talk about this detox, how often do you get detox individuals, and what are the signs that you've gotten?
Yeah. It's really not, the percentage is small. I've seen headaches, I've seen nausea, I've seen fatigue, I've seen rashes. And I always tell them, well, remember, when you're detoxing, it all comes through your skin, right? It goes into your skin, it comes out through your skin. And so my recommendations as a doctor and what I've seen work is, if somebody is wearing it for 12 hours, and let's say she said, you know what, I'm hypersensitive. You knew it on the right, the get-go. What I would have said to her at that point, I would say, you know what, since you're hypersensitive, whether she is or she isn't, you're hypersensitive. Here's what I want you to do. I only want you to put this on for 6 hours tomorrow. So have her just take half the backing off and put it on for 6 hours, and let's just see how you do. And if you, but as you start with 12 hours and somebody has a detox, you can always back them off and say, hey, let's just start you off with 6 hours a day. Drink plenty of water, add those electrolytes, and then from there you can start upping your hours.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering.
Yep, half the back. So what somebody said, half the backing. So if they're only going to use it for 6 hours, what I do is I take half of it off and I have them put it on. And then that way the next day, so they take it off. To me, they still have 6 hours left, right? And they can put it on the next day, or they could just put it in their pocket, is what I tell them. Now, if I'm incorrect about being able to use it again the next day, somebody can let me know that. But to me, it makes sense. So I don't know. Okay, patches. Patches many times take longer to feel effects. Sometimes people report no changes. Why is that? I've heard David Schmidt speak about this. So I want to speak what I've heard from him. Is he said the people that have the most inflammation in their body, it's going to take them longer. All right. That doesn't mean things aren't happening. And as I always tell people, first of all, you don't feel stem cells turning off. You don't feel stem cells turning on, and you certainly don't feel stem cells healing your body. We know what it's doing on a cellular level. And I will tell people, do you take vitamin D? And they say yes. And I go, why? Well, because it's raising my vitamin D levels. I said, how do you know that? Well, because there's studies. I said, well, we have studies. And the perfect example, I have a patient who's been wearing it consistently for 18 months, really hasn't felt much, right? She broke her wrist, ended up having surgery. She had a hairline fracture in her knee. And I said, you're going to see, Mary, how this is helping you with healing. Because, right, think of a 4 to 6-year-old that breaks their arm. They're healed in 4 to, I mean, a 4 to 5-year-old, they heal in 4 to 6 weeks with no residuals. Now we don't have any stem cells once we're, they're not working once we're past 60. And so she's in her mid 70s. I said, this is where you're going to see it come in. She came back from the doctor. Her knee is completely healed, and they are absolutely amazed at how fast she's healing. I said, that is your stem cells. You didn't feel them turn on, and you didn't feel them healing your body, but they're there.
Hi, Dr. Fleming. Thank you for all this information. This has been awesome. Just had a quick question. So I utilize This Is the Info and all the great websites, I would say 98% of the time. Jeremy and I did have a chiropractor that we had reached out to that really preferred like a brochure or documents or something like that he could read. And I was just curious. I think you mentioned it on this call. Is there something in particular that you've created that you've printed off, or what do you give if there are those people that prefer to read versus watching the videos or checking out the website?
Yeah. So my friend Barb, the one that signed me up, she had some brochures made up. I love these. They are wonderful. I know Patch EDU has some brochures as well. And so I carry these with me because they're easy. Make sure you always have either a business card attached to it. But like when I'm traveling and stuff, I do it as well. but these are great for chiropractors to have in their clinic. And so, yeah, so this is one of the things I do. Like I said, sometimes I'll print out some of the actual studies that might be important to them as a doctor, and then I hand them to them as well. But a brochure is kind of an overview, and then you can always give them more after that.
So is there somewhere where we can get like that one you have printed? Like, is that accessible somewhere or no?
Yeah, I think so. I want to make sure it's compliant.
Okay.
I haven't looked at that. I think it is, but otherwise Patch EDU also has, and so it's called patchedu.com. They
Okay.
also have some that are really awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Hi, Dr. Terra.
Hi.
It's Kim.
Kim.
Nice to see you again. I have a offer for you because I had rotator cuff surgery. So if you need a person to talk to your doctor, my Stanford doctor is amazed at how fast I healed. My husband, through everything, patched me every day on my shoulder right after surgery. They can't believe how fast I've healed. I'm at 99.5 and I'm like 5 months ahead of time.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So,
okay.
So if you need me, I have your number, but you contact me because I'm really happy I'm so excited about my results. It's amazing. I'm ready to go play tennis again. I'm all over the top. So, and this was very informational because I have a lot of chiropractors in my life. So thank you.
But don't make them your focus.
They're not going to be my focus, but it was very helpful because Ron and I have approached our very good friend who's a dentist, and we said, we'll come into your office, we'll train your people, because he sees what's happening to Ron's gums, my gums, everything. And he said, and he was on it. He's an athlete. So that's one person. He has an amazing practice. So if you go into the office and you're willing to train the front desk,
right.
And I love it because could you, I think I have missed something on the maintenance packs.
Okay.
Could you tell me, I mean, I've been doing this for a while and I feel embarrassed, but
don't feel embarrassed.
Tell me
we all learn.
Maintenance packs
I've been doing this for 2.5 years and I still learn things.
So where do we get the maintenance packs? Because where in the back office is that I think I've missed it.
Yep. So the maintenance packs are under store. You'll see maintenance kits. And then the top line is going to be your supportive patches where you can buy maintenance kits of those in bulk.
Okay.
There's an Alavita one. And then there's a 3-month, a 7-month, and a 9-month maintenance.
Wow. Okay.
The 9-month one is $750. So the patches are about $83.33 a sleeve.
I'm for the deal, so thank you very much. I'm thinking I'm getting a great deal, $87.50 when I got that, but now that's even better. So thank you. I'm going to be switching tomorrow.
Yeah, and so the other thing to remember about these maintenance kits is that depending on which one you buy, but like if you buy the 9-month one, what it's going to do is it's going to trickle 110 PV into your account every month for 6 months. So now you push out your auto ship order. You don't ever want to lose your, but I push mine out for 6 months.
Okay.
And that way, if I forget, I don't lose my volume or anything like that. But yeah, it's really nice. So then you don't have to do that.
Yeah. And that's a really good business decision because then, I like that business decision because then you're helping yourself. Yep. You have extra patches to help others always. I mean, we got down to we had a whole boatload and then we got down to nil almost. But my next question is, how many patches do you give out? Usually we give 5. Is that not enough?
Yeah. So I think everybody does it a little differently. I have given 5. I have given 2 weeks. I've given a month. It depends on who it is. Right.
I've done
that. But you have to be very, very forthright in the fact that you guys, hey, 80% of the people might feel something within this first 5 days, but 96% will feel something within the first 90 days. So 5 days is not giving it anything of what you really need to, to give it a chance.
Right.
So it can be very lucrative, it can be very successful, and it can also not be. But I've had people get one patch wonders in the first 8 hours, 12 hours. So
okay, you just got to go with your gut.
Yeah, like we have a wellness center that just started up here. They do red light saunas, and they do plunge pools, and it's a fitness center. It's all these things. It's all about wellness. And I just kind of fell into it, but I went into it as a city council member for the ribbon cutting, and I was talking to the general manager and then the owner, and they are all about LifeWave. So what did I do? For me, that was an investment. I went back and I gave them each a month.
Yeah,
both sides, right?
that makes sense.
Yeah. So you kind of have to pick and choose.
Yeah, we've given a month away. It wasn't always smart, but that's okay. Like we're investing in our business. So
and remember, it's a tax write-off too.
Yeah. It's all in, it's important to, sometimes you got to spend a little to make a little. So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Terra.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. This is super fun. I love doing this.
We love having you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? And I
Hi,
know
doctor.
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Hola, doctora, ¿cómo está?
¿Cómo está?
Bien, bien. Okay, yo solamente quiero compartir.
Hi, doctor. I just wanted to share my experience. I've been for 4 or 5 months in the industry. I've been working little by little, step by step, sharing. 2 weeks ago, I started to post a few videos on Facebook, inviting people to get to know the technology and so on. And I've had a lot of views, but nobody would write a message, nobody would call me. And fortunately, the day of yesterday, I posted a video inviting people over to get to know how to activate their own stem cells. And I invited them to the meeting with Dr. Monroe that we had yesterday. And nobody entered the meeting, but 17 people called me. So I was on the phone the whole evening until 10 p.m. 17 people called. 8 of them were very interested in the system. And 2 of them today called me again to tell me I do want the product. So truthfully, I feel really happy. I was working on the calls and giving client service a whole evening. And my goal is to start to give these meetings of education every week. In this, I think, is going to give me a first step to be able to do it for me to progress in the system. I feel very happy with what I've accomplished, and I'm moving forward. Coincidentally, today, my brother called me and he told me he was enrolling when I've been talking to him about the patches for a long time, and he never enrolled. He would just ask more and more questions. And last time I said, whenever you want, we can schedule an appointment and we can talk directly about how to enroll and the advantages of the different options that there are, etc. And he said, okay, but he never enrolled. And today, coincidentally, he said, I'm enrolling. Tell me if I'm doing this right. So I got really excited because imagine 17 people that I talked to yesterday, and today my brother's enrolling. I'm happy.
Congratulations. Congratulations. That's amazing. Hope I did that right.
Muchas gracias.
Can everyone hear me in English now?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Congratulations. You're doing it.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Keep up the good work. Let's see.
Hola, hola. Soy Austre Murillo desde California. Mi pregunta.
Hello, I'm Maestro Murillo from California. And my question to you, doctor, is how do you contact the cold market? You arrive at a city and you don't know anyone, for example. On vacation, for example, what do you do?
Okay, that's a really good question because there's a number of different ways you can do this. Let's say you're taking an Uber, right? So what I do is I start to make conversation with an Uber driver, right? Hey, how are you doing? Where are you from? Da, 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 da. And you only have about 10 or 15 minutes, but eventually it could be, hey, have you seen this technology? And I show them the patch and they say no. And so then I share a little bit. And I can honestly tell you, I have a 99% success rate of people giving me their names and numbers. It's amazing. But what I do tell them, by the way, and this is something that's important to me because you get ghosted. And I say, you know what? If you give me your number, all right, I'm going to send you some information. Let's make a deal. If you're ever not interested, let me know. Because if you don't tell me you're not interested, that tells me that I can continue to just, touch base with you every once in a while that you still have an interest. So Uber driver, that's easy, right? When I'm traveling, I will sit at the bar in the airport because you got people right next to you. I don't ever sit at a table. And I listen. So I was traveling back from Vegas and I was listening to the guy next to me. And he happened to say to the bartender that he was from Milwaukee. Well, guess what? Hey, I'm a Midwesterner also. What do you do today? We just started talking and I was like, what do you do in Milwaukee? Why are you here for business or pleasure? You just start asking them questions. Oh, I'm out here for pleasure. Really? What are you doing? And before I knew it, the guy had given, I was eventually able to share the patch. And because he's like, well, what are you doing here? I said, oh, I'm here for a convention for this patch. Well, what is it? Hello, he asked. He gave me his name and number. Interestingly enough, the guy next to him says, after this guy left, he goes, hey, I was listening in. He goes, can you tell me more about what you were talking about? So wherever you're going, listen to what's going on around you, right? If you're just walking in crowds, you can't do that. But different places where you're at, find a connection that you can say, there was a lady at the nail salon who said, I overheard her talking. Her husband owns a hockey arena or a hockey training center. And so I was talking with my girl and then I finally said, oh, your husband owns a hockey thing? Oh yeah. I said, that is so cool. She goes, yeah, he's a teacher as well. I said, oh, where does he teach? Oh, Arden Hills. I said, oh, my brother is in that district. He's a Mounds View teacher. Connection, right? So it's just asking questions about people and getting to know them a little bit. And then eventually it will happen. And when you actually make the connection, like when you say, have you seen this? Right? I will say the majority of the people are going to be, if you say it's, regenerates dormant stem cells, which we can say out there, they are going to be interested. But you're going to know if they're not because their eyes will glaze over and they won't ask you any questions. So then just kind of walk away. Be really open to the people that are like, oh, really? How does it do that? Don't give them too much, right? Give them enough, like Jay says, a hook. And then say, you know what? This is what I say to them. If you'd like more information, I would be happy to send you some. And then I'll follow up with you. And they're like, yeah, I want to get more information. So I get their name and number. I make notes. My husband says, he said this to me today. He said, one of my superpowers is that I can just remember about everybody that I've met. Well, part of it is I do remember because I've made that connection. But another thing is I make notes in my phone, right? So I always make notes where I met them, what they do, little points about them. So that when I follow up, it's not always just about the business. It could be the lady I met who was at a bowling tournament in Vegas. Hey, how's the bowling going? Things like that. Does that help?
Sí, perfecto. Muchas
Yes,
gracias.
that's perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time with us.
Oh, and somebody said they always do a selfie and that helps trigger the conversation. So I cannot figure out Ice Wave.
Okay.
All right, Ice Wave. I just did it on one of my patients tonight. So you're going to take the tan and you're going to put it on the point of pain. You take half of the backing off because when you find the spot, right, you go in a circle around. When you find the spot, you want it to be able to stick. So if you're moving it from 12 to 2 to 4 and you have all the backing off by the time you get to where it could work, it's gonna come off. So take half the backing off, put it at the 12 o'clock spot, an inch or two above the tan patch, and then wait 30 to 60 seconds, see what your pain scale is. And then if it hasn't changed, move it to 2, move it to 4, move it to 6. I literally had a patient with a hot low back, pain scale of an 8 after I got done with her. That's how bad she was. I did the AccuLife on her, but Ice Wave, same thing. And by the time I got to 4 o'clock, her pain went to 0. I was floored. So that's how you use the ice wave. I hope that made all the sense that you wanted. What if they respond no feeling or no effects? So somebody, if they respond no feeling or no effects, here's a couple things. I tell people to add Celergize. It is a game changer. I had a friend 2 months in, I'm not really feeling anything. Get Celergize. Literally within the first week, she started noticing her energy increasing and everything started to happen. Her cholesterol came down by 27 points. So adding Celergize, I think, is a huge game changer because it is replacing all of the trace minerals, amino acids, electrolytes that our bodies are missing. And we know that it's specific for this patch. So Celergize is one that I would always do. And again, you guys, this is working on a cellular level. We don't get to determine where stem cells go and heal things, right? It's healing things that they don't even know about. And so they just have to stick with it. They have to know that the science is there, and just stick with it because they will eventually get their testimony. Okay, anything else? I told once it's activated, whether it's worn or not, it's 12 hours. It doesn't pause for use the next day. That could be. I have no idea. I thought the heat and light of your body activates it. So in my limited understanding of it, I would think that once you take it off, it would stop activating, but I don't know. So anybody have any ideas on that one? I would be very open. I don't know. Carrie, did you get your question answered? Oh, is it better to upgrade or buy maintenance packs? So at this point, I always like upgrading to the premium. One, you're going to be able to get some other patches because you can mix and match. So now you have some other patches that you yourself can wear. Number two, it's going to keep you active for 3 months and you're saving money as well. So I would upgrade and then I would start doing the maintenance kits. But that's, it's a personal preference. Do you have a number or Instagram? I don't do Instagram. I'm learning. I need to learn. I'm really bad at it. Yes, my number. I'll put it in here. Anybody who needs my number, there it is. Oh yeah, Celergize is not available in Canada. It's not available in Australia either. Okay, I think I covered everybody. Does anybody else have anything?
Eric, can I ask one last question?
All right, you can ask as many questions as you want.
Okay. It's back to the ice wave. When you do the clocked method, is it you go to the top at 12 and you go around and it's on a scale of 1 to 10 and you go to the spot that has the lowest and then the lowest spot you keep it on, not the
Yep, wherever. So like I start with my low back patient. I started at noon. No difference. When I went to 2, it went down from an 8 to a 5. When I got to the 4 o'clock spot, it went to a 0. I took off the half backing, put it back on, and then they can keep it on for as long as it's working.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much for clarifying.